What's up, guys? Dugan is here to talk about add-ons. So basically I just wanted to make a video that would kind of go over like general things that you should expect out of your user interface when creating it or kind of improving it from the standard Blizzard UI. So I'm just going to kind of go over a little bit of everything, and I'm going to end with like a big focus on raid frames, just kind of from a healer's perspective. Add-ons are great because they can make you a better player with the efficiency of how it displays things and how much it displays it. And then the other thing is like appearance and screen real estate. So you can have like a general appearance of your UI. Like the theme of my user interface is like all of these gray panels, which is based on ElvUI, by the way, with some like custom gray panels that I just added in to go along with that theme, and then a heads-up display with some pretty spiffy cooldown trackers that I liked. So this isn't a video that's going to be like, this is why my UI is the best. It's going to be like, this is what I keep track of that makes me a good player. And you need to set up your user interface to kind of track the same things, not in the same way or the same layout, but the information that I'm paying attention to needs to be present in your user interface because you'll want to pay attention to it as well, I assure you. So this isn't like a competition about like, this is why this add-on's the best. Even though like I'm a big fan of Grid 2, but we'll get into that later. There's so many different add-ons that fulfill like all of these roles, so it's just about kind of knowing what to expect out of yourself when you make your UI. The first thing I want to talk about is add-ons in a fight, like efficiency add-ons that help you in a raid. So the first one that I want to get out of the way, just because it's like the super obvious one, it was one of the biggest things that I noticed first off when I started raiding, is the healing text. So the standard Blizzard healing text is that when you heal someone, green numbers will pop up on your character. So let's say I'm in a raid and I've got like 5 people chilling over here and I heal them all at the same time. Well, I'm just going to get a bunch of green numbers pop up like all over the screen. And pretty soon, you watch those YouTube videos of people that they're good healers or they're good DPSers, and all you can see are just numbers flying up all over the screen. That's cool, but you can't really see what's happening in the game. I still enjoy watching what's happening in the game as a spectator, and I want to be able to see what's happening as a player too. So my healing, or my combat text, is all set up like this. I have my crits to shake and be smaller, but this is all my incoming stuff. And then all my outgoing stuff would be on this right side. So if I heal somebody else, it'll appear over here. If I damage somebody else, it'll appear over here, that kind of thing. And that just cleans it up so I can, isn't that nice? I can see what's around me, I can see what's in front of me. And that's kind of the general theme of my user interface, is I like keeping everything up here relatively clear so people can actually see what I'm doing and so I can see what I'm doing. Who am I kidding? So that's combat text. I use mixed scrolling battle text. There's a bunch of add-ons that kind of do the same thing. Parrot was another really popular one. I'm pretty sure it's still running. I know people used it a couple years ago, but regardless, you want some kind of add-on text for that, because you don't need to read every single one of those green numbers that pops up. You don't need to see the confirmation of you hitting something. You should know, if you're a good enough player, you should know that you're hitting it. You should know that you're healing it. So there's that. Just, you don't need that confirmation to get just the confirmation of thousands of little green and yellow numbers popping up. The second thing I want to talk about is action bars. Action bars are great. I keep all of mine really concise down here because I'm a healer, so all of my buttons are kind of already hotkeyed to my mouse. I actually have a really cool mouse. It's a Naga. A lot of people use the Naga. You should get one. It's fantastic. I'm not paid by Razer, though I wish I was. But this is my second Naga, and the first Naga I had got me 3 solid years before I just, one of the buttons wore out on me, and I played with it 60 hours a week. It's great. So as you can see, there's 12 buttons here. So, and then I have a Nostromo gamepad that's over here. It's got a little directional pad where my thumb is on my left hand. So, and then on that D-pad, I've programmed Control, Shift, and Alt. So, with just my thumbs, I can do 48 different abilities. And that's just one of those things. Is that cheap? Is that snarky? No, it's just kind of smart. It's they're ergonomic devices, because playing WoW on a keyboard for me, hitting Control and Shift as a healer for all those different hotkeys, I got carpal tunnel really bad almost, so I wanted something ergonomic, went with that. So that's like the smart thing about the action bars, because action bars are really interesting. Like when I first started playing the game, like I thought, oh, these are here for me to click on. No, never click on your action bars. You need to assign buttons to them and memorize the buttons. So as you can see, like, you know, I have all of these labeled just in case, like, I'm an off chance in the middle of a fight, I forget what something is. So, like, without even looking, I can tell you that 2 forms is Control Dash, my healing potion is Alt 1, my mana potion's Alt 2, you know, my feather's 3, like that kind of thing. You gotta memorize everything, because you don't have time to, like, look over there and click on something. You gotta know. There's so many great add-ons for them, like Bartender I used for forever. I switched to ElvUI recently, so I just use the standard ElvUI things. But what's really cool is, like, you could set up to have 6 bars, you could set up to have 5 bars, 3 bars, 2 bars, whatever, and you can make everything invisible. So, like, for instance, I made my micro menu invisible. So I'm going to mouse over up here to the top right, and when I mouse over it, oh, it appears. And here's, like, my little micro menu with all that stuff. Because I don't need to see it all the time. You know, it's not something I need to have displayed, so why do it? So I can just hide it. So that's nice, and then it goes away when I move my mouse away from it. So it's just cool stuff like that, and you can do that with, like, every bar. So if, like, that's something, if there's something, like, customizable that you want to do with that, go for it. Like, do that, you know what I mean? Like, I used to have my bars, like, slightly transparent just because I thought it was cool, right? So it's whatever you want to do with that, but action bar add-ons are super important. Like, the next thing I want to talk about is basically just player and target info. So normally in the default Blizzard user interface, you have your character thing up here, your character portrait, your character unit frame, and then you have your target unit frame, and then there's like a little target of target unit frame down here. That's great. Why do I need it up there in the top left where I don't look at anything ever? So I decided to make a little heads-up display where I actually keep my eyes. Because my general thing is I like keeping my eyes focused around here because I've got my cooldowns, I got my grid, I got my character, and I've got my info all in this little tall rectangle thing going on here. I can see everything that's going on in this little heads-up display. Grid, cooldowns, target info, all that stuff, and then my DBM timers kind of up here, right here, which is like arguably the most important thing. You don't have to have the HUD, but a lot of people, like really good players, I've noticed, they play with like a unit frame here, and their target unit frame here, and then their target of target here. So like these portraits, by the way, they're just Pitbull. I just downloaded Pitbull and disabled everything but the portraits just because I like the way they look with my user interface and my HUD. So like going off of that, the next thing I'm going to talk about is like aura info or buff info. So as you can see, like up here, these are my buffs. These are my short-term buffs, I should say. My long-term buffs appear down here, like in a traditional kind of buff setup that was, you know, originally up here. But I wanted to take like all those short buffs that normally appear up here that I don't look at, and I wanted to put them somewhere where I would see them. So I just attached them to my HUD. So, okay, I've borrowed time for another 4 seconds, I got Power Word Shield, Evangelism, like all those like little short-term buffs that you need to be able to pay attention to, you can put those there. That's what I did. These are my target buffs up here to the top right. So if there's like I'm attacking an enemy and they get a powerful buff, if it's a boss, something I need to just offensively dispel or just be aware of, you know, you can see that, along with, you know, there's the target cast bar is really obvious. Everything's super obvious, right? So that you can see it. And then even watch, I'm about to watch right here. Pop. Did you see that prayer mending explode? Like, you can set that up to happen so it really catches your eye. And then, like, you know, the target debuffs are down here, and then I have a dot tracker down here for when I'm in shadow. You know, dot tracking is very important, so I just keep my dot tracker down here. So it's just kind of going along with, I have all of these little things near my peripheral of where I'm looking, so I don't have to look all over the screen to like, because I like playing on a really big monitor. It's more immersive, it feels better, right? I think everybody would kind of agree with that. But I don't necessarily want to have to look all over my monitor. I want to keep a lot of my monitor free. I want that screen real estate to be real. I want there to be open space so that if I'm streaming or someone's watching me play, they can easily see everything that's going on. And I can easily see everything that's going on without taking up half the game. And that's what's really cool is, in addition to that, I have an add-on called SunArt that actually resizes my viewport. I don't know if you can tell, but my character's actually moving as I disable and like the screen moves as I disable, and that's because SunArt actually cuts off part of the screen right here so that my user interface isn't like covering it up. It's all about being efficient in screen real estate wise. The buff add-on that I use is called Raven. So, like, you know, everything that you see here, this is Raven, this is Raven, this is Raven, my dot tracker's Raven, even this cooldown timer is Raven. And there's a bunch of add-ons that cover all this stuff. So many options. You don't have to be limited to just Raven, but I really enjoy Raven after using so many add-ons. Cooldowns are a really big part of it. I'm a healer, so I like having my grid directly below my character as opposed to my action bars. You don't have to do it that way, obviously. But I don't really like tracking add-ons just by looking at all of these like individual timers and just stuff like that, you know. I don't like it. So a lot of people implement some kind of cooldown add-on in addition. So they have like cooldown bars, like Omni CC does like another cooldown add-on, Weakauras. I'm trying to think of just other cooldown add-ons. There's so many great ones. You know, Power Wars used to be my favorite. So the way I have my add-on set up is like my HUD is actually framed by cooldown add-ons. So like this right here is my Prayer of Mending. So watch, as I cast Prayer of Mending, it kind of grew up and it went away. I'll cast Penance on myself. It'll be on the left side. There, it goes away. And in 2 seconds, watch what happens. Right here. Shoo. So as I keep my peripherals aware, and I'm kind of focusing on DBM timers and everything that's going on right here, I can see everything that comes off of cooldown. And you want to have an add-on like that. If this is like too frilly for you or not straightforward enough, you can set up the add-on to just be the icon of the spell that came off cooldown, and you can just kind of set it up along here so that you can really keep track of all that stuff. It's whatever you want to do. That's what's great about it. And even these down here, like my bigger cooldowns, like, you know, Power Infusion, then Devotion Aura, I Wish, Power Word Barrier. So that's just kind of the quick rundown of how my HUD and overall theme is set up. The biggest thing that I love about my add-ons, I should say, is everything's kind of, if you couldn't tell, everything's centered around my grid, my raid frames. And Grid 2, Voodoo, Healbot, they all kind of do the same thing. Even the ElvUI standard raid frames kind of do the same thing. They just make your health bars like super like awesome and easy to manage. So, you know, like as you can see, like I'll cast Power Word Fortitude on me. Okay, I'm missing a little bit of health. I have Divine Aegis up, so I still have 12.4k of absorbs. I'll heal myself. You can see the incoming heal. There we go. Oh, it's a crit. Now I have 37.6k of health. This is all stuff that I set up on my own within Grid 2. Grid 2 is the most customizable and able to display the most information of all of the raid frame add-ons. That's just a fact. It can be a little bit more difficult to set up than Healbot or Voodoo, but at the end of the day, if you want to set up like the most customized, most information-heavy, screen real estate efficient add-on, Grid 2 is pretty much the way to go. That's just a fact. I've used all of them over my long WoW career, and it's just the way it is. Grid 2 is the way to go if you're looking to pick something new. There are a lot of people that swear by Voodoo and a lot of people that swear by Healbot, and that's great, and they do great jobs. They're totally sufficient, but I'm just giving you the facts. So Grid 2, let's open it up. This is the add-on, this is the setup, right? And you can make it rectangular, you can make it square, you can do all of this stuff. You can change the texture of like the bars, so I can make it like glossy looking. You know, like, and it goes black, by the way, so I just have to reload UI. That's the one thing I don't like about Grid 2 is every time you kind of make an adjustment to how the frame looks, you have to reload the UI. Not a big hassle when you consider like the powerful like information that it can display, but that is something to think about if that turns you off, which is totally understandable. So here, now it's all glossy looking, you know, it looks like an Apple app, you know, whatever you want to do with it. So you can just do that, and you can do that with all these add-ons. You can change the fonts, you can change the textures of the bars, like, you know, these bars, I could make them glossy too. I like the minimalist feel, so that's just what I stick with, but that's neither here nor there. The most important thing is the amount of information that this thing can display. So basically I set it up like a clock. Like, well, let's just go through them, why don't we? 1 o'clock is Magic Debuff, 2 o'clock, Rejuvenation, 3 o'clock, Life Bloom, 4 o'clock, Renewing Mist, 5 o'clock, Prayer of Mending, 7 o'clock is Weakened Soul for Power Word Shield, 8 o'clock is Earth Shield, 9 o'clock is Riptide, 10 o'clock is Beacon of Light, and 11 o'clock is disease, which is something I can also dispel as well, so I just keep track of those. And then also the border, I have that change color depending on what type of debuff they have, so if they have curses and poisons, I could still be aware of it, even though there's nothing I can do about it personally. Another healer will have to dispel that. So anyway, a lot of that stuff, like, you know, Life Bloom, Rejuve, Renewing Mist, Earth Shield, Riptide, Beacon of Light, that's something that my character can't do because I play a priest. But what separates being a good healer from a great healer is being able to heal the right person at the right time, because it's not about beating other healers, it's not about leading the charts, it's about how you guys synergize together. The more information you have, the more likely you will be to heal the right person, because if someone's at 60% health, but if they have 2 Rejuves, a Renewing Mist, and a Riptide on them, and, you know, they're at 60% health, do you need to heal that person? No, you don't. Probably not. Not in that moment, anyway, if they're at 60% health, because the other healers have it covered with all of those hots. So it's really important that you can be able to tell, like, how the other healers are impacting the raid in addition to yourself. The other thing that I like about Grid is, like, and I'm sure other add-ons do this too, but I can display, like, the absorb amount, as I said. So, like, this is my Weaken Soul timer, and my Prayer of Mending timer is a countdown timer as well. Grid 2, you can set them up to be just timers, you can set them up to be icons, you can set them up to be squares. You know, the icons are usually the most popular. That's what Voodoo and Healbot utilize. I like just having the timers because I don't need to see... I would rather have a numeric value countdown than the little square with the over the time, like, countdown thing with a shadow. Like, you know what I mean? That's just something me personally. So I have those 2 spells counted. And you can tell that when Weaken Soul first goes out, it's a light blue color, then it switches to like a purpley pink, and then as it's about to run out, it turns to red. And that's something that you can just set up. You know, in Prayer of Mending, when I put it out, it's got some white text on it. That means it has 5 stacks remaining, as you can tell. And then as it gets close, and then so it'll jump to another person, I'll have 4 stacks left. As it gets down to 1 stack, it slowly turns more red. So when there's only 1 stack remaining, that counter will be red. So I'll be able to see that, okay, I need to recast that pretty quickly because the stacks are about to run out. And then the great thing about Grid 2, and I'm pretty sure all of these add-ons do it as well, like Voodoo and Healbot, maybe even the Braids, the standard Blizzard raid frames may do this, but the center icon basically is a lot bigger, and it tells me, like, the debuff that a raid boss is putting out. So, like, you know, if someone's got Garrote from Fallen Protectors, right, from He Softfoot puts a Garrote on somebody, I can see that really easily. And then, but let's say that person also has Shadow Word Bane. What if that debuff doesn't pop up over the Garrote? Well, that's why I have the Dispel thing here too, so I can see multiple debuffs. Oh, so this person has Garrote, but they also need to be dispelled. You know, that kind of thing. I can totally track that really easily. So that's what kind of the add-on thing is all about. It's just about setting up pertinent information that makes you a better player in a nice way, and then it's up to you to set it up in a way that is convenient for you, doesn't have you looking all over the screen, doesn't take up over half the screen, and, you know, you can add some flair to it. I'm pretty minimalistic, you know, nothing's too shiny or fancy. I've got some gray panels, which I'm actually going to go into here in a second, and I've got some, you know, cool, like, HUD thing going on. You know, you don't have to do it that way, but that's just what I like, and I'm still able to present all that information. So the information that I'm displaying, you need to pay attention to it. I kind of had a checklist. Make sure you have all of that information displayed. You know, the combat text, action bars, target data, player data, cooldowns and buffs, and then raid frames. Those are the things that you really need to have in the middle of a fight. Per se. There's add-ons that help you keep track of, you know, food buffs and flasks too, you know, just all those convenient things. So there are add-ons that make it more convenient, you know, like get an auction add-on that allows you to scan the auction house like Auctioneer. Get a mail add-on that allows you to just get all the mail out without you having to click through everyone. Get a bag add-on that allows you to just sell grays off. You know, get a bank add-on. You know, there's all these little add-ons. There's add-ons to help you transmog, you know, called Mogit, where I can look up, I want something that goes with, I want some new shoulders that look good with my new outfit. And boom, I can look at every single shoulder in the game. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of thing. Like, there's add-ons for everything, so never stop the search for add-ons. I do it like once a week where I just kind of hunt around for new add-ons. You know, and it just never ends. That's what's great about it. You can always improve your UI. My UI, I'm still working on it. My grid's not even done being set up yet. I'm not convinced that I have it the best way possible yet. But that's what's fun about this game, too. It's not just about how you play the game, but what other game can you completely design your own user interface? You know, and this user interface allows me to get in touch with my playability more. So arguably, even though it's a lot of data and a lot of panels and, you know, high-tech looking stuff for a fantasy game, I would argue it's almost more immersive because I'm getting more into the fights because I have all of this information so I can be a better player. So it's just one of those things, you know, just keep on the hunt, always improve your add-ons, always improve your user interface. And I'll post like all the add-ons that I have personally. Like I said, almost every single one of the add-ons I use, there are alternatives for. So just, you know, never get too attached to one add-on, because chances are the next patch is going to be doing something better. You know, that's why I switched from Healbot. That's why I switched from Voodoo. That's why I switched from Grid. You know, there's always people one-upping each other in the add-on market, and it's a lot of fun. So thank you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Go get some add-ons. Start freaking loving this game even more. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.